Hello, friends, and welcome to another video lesson from DBOS Talks. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe and click the bell so that you can be notified of new uploads. We are in a playlist called From Excel to SQL, and in this video, we'll be learning how to filter data in SQL, as well as how we can relate it with how we do it in Excel. So in Excel, if you can take a look briefly, if we wanted to filter data in it, then we would probably click anywhere within a grid like this one, and then you can click on data. It can be in any other tab. You can click on the data tab, and then you click on filter, and straight away you will see that all the column headings will have this little bit of drop down arrow here. Depending on your background, programming background, if you have, it may be called a list or something like that. But it basically gives you the option to do a filtering on a column to column basis. Okay, so let's just say we wanted to filter this data according to the depth ID or department ID, then we could do that by clicking when you go to the depth ID column, and then you can click on the drop down and you deselect or select the preferred value you want to filter it with. So in this case, I wanted to filter the data so that I will only see those that have a depth ID value of ENG, which is short for engineering. So if I click on OK, which you do not see partly, then it gets filtered. This is how we do the filtering in Excel. Okay, so now we go to using SQL and how, if you are familiar with how filtering is done in Excel, somehow you could make that connection, make that jump, and get on with learning how we do the filtering in SQL. Okay, as you know, SQL is a language to communicate with the database. Okay, so filtering data in SQL. Let's just uh, reuse the simplistic select statement that we have seen in previous lessons. So this is the command to query the data of a table. So in this case, we will be selecting, querying the data from a table called employees. So select asterisk from employees. And it shows you all the data, all the columns because I'm using asterisk, and all the rows because I'm not using any filtering conditions. But in this video, you'll be learning how to filter the data that you are seeing. So if we go very quickly and take a look at the syntax and get into the basic info of what or concept of what the where clause is. So in SQL, you will be using the clause called where. It's called a clause. It is not really a command per se because it goes along, it works hand in hand with the select statement. It cannot function on its own. It works to complement the select command. Okay, so it's a where clause. The purpose of which, of course, it's being used to filter the data you are querying, data that you're querying from a table. And the syntax is not so complicated at the start. Okay, you can get started right away using this kind of simple syntax where you specify the column name and then equals specify the value. So where column name equals value. That's the simple syntax of where. Although in subsequent videos, we could be learning about more complex ways of using the or specifying the where clause of a select statement. Okay, so in this case, building on top of what we already started with, which is the select statement from the tables employees, I'll remove the terminator and continue with the select statement, adding on to that the where clause, okay, where clause. So select asterisk from employees table where depth ID equals ENG. So we're saying query or show me all the columns, all the column values from this table called employees, where the column depth ID has a value of ENG. Remember, if you've seen my very first video in this playlist from Excel to SQL, then you should have learned about data and data types. Okay, so in this case, the data being presented to you, the ENG is a data type in Oracle called varchar2, or in other programming languages, it's called string. So that's why it is enclosed in a pair of single quotes here and here. So meaning everything that comes in between the starting single quote and the ending single quote is the value of the string. In this case, it's ENG. So we're saying again, get all the data, all the records from this table called employees, where the column depth ID has a value of ENG, which is short for engineering. Okay, so if I execute this, then what used to be a couple of records, let's take a look. It used to be 7 records. Now, with the inclusion of this where condition, it has been reduced to only 2 records. And if we do a quick check on that, and we zoom in on the column called depth ID, which is right here, then you can readily see that indeed their values are ENG, the string ENG. So that's how you use the where clause. Again, it's a clause, it complements the select command, and this is the syntax where column name equals some value. This is the simplistic, this is the basic syntax. We can go on and on with the other ways of using a where clause, but it will just confuse you right now. You can start with this and you're good to go. Okay, the syntax is there for you to see and to get familiar with. And this is what you get. The effect is that the result set or the data being returned by your select statement has now been reduced. It's not always the case. It's only because there is data getting satisfied which meets this filtering condition. Meaning, if initially we have, let's say, 7, right? 7 records. If the where condition I'm using does not meet any of these, if none of these records, especially in this column that ID, meets this condition, then none will be returned. Example, if I say where depth ID equals ENGR with a even with an uppercase, and you can see there's none of it like this, it will return nothing, you see? Okay, so it doesn't always mean that when I supply a where condition here, it will just voila, just show me what I want to see. It's only if the where condition is getting met, if something is found matching that where condition. Okay, right? Now, if we wanted to add on to that, you can see, because right now you are looking at an example where we use one column as a where condition. In this case, the column is depth ID. We can add on to that, and just to show you the possibility of using multiple columns in your where clause. So this isn't a where clause, but it is part of the where clause, because where some column and so this actually, although it starts with and, this is part of the where clause. That's why in some conventions it is being indented, meaning it goes under the where clause. Okay, so meaning select all the matching columns values from this table employees where this condition is true and this condition is true. Okay, in this case, for department ID is ENG, uppercase, and civil status equals S, uppercase. Okay, so from now, right now, we can see 2 records, but if you do a visual check on that, you an eyeball check, and look at the column called civil status if you want, then if you go to this place here, there is only one that meets this condition. Civil status equals uppercase S, and it's this record over here. Okay, so by right, if I execute this, the 2 records you're seeing now will be reduced to just 1. Okay, and that is as expected. Okay, so do note again that there are many ways, there will be many ways of using the where clause to filter data to be returned. And like I've shown you earlier, it doesn't always mean that when you supply a where clause here, something will be returned. It's only if records are getting found which are meeting the where conditions you are supplying. Actually, the reality is that the more conditions you add to your where clause, the more restrictive it will be. So chances are you will be getting less and less and less records meeting your conditions because it's becoming more and more stringent, if you can imagine. Okay, so in this video, we have seen how data can be filtered in Excel at the beginning, as well as how it's being done in SQL and how we relate those two, how we can make that jump, how we can make that switch getting a good knowledge of filtering of data in Excel, and using that, to leveraging on that to learn how to filter in SQL. In this case, it is the where clause. Okay, it is a clause which complements the select command. Okay, thank you for watching and listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click subscribe, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.